Bonjour and welcome back to my channel, Claude here. So today I am very excited because I'm going to be sharing with you Andrea Aste's latest tarot deck, or should I say multimedia project, I'll explain in a minute, called The Book of Shadows, an Alchemist's Story. Now I mentioned this last week in the review I posted when I reviewed the Tarot of Light and Shadow, which was also by Andrea Aste in collaboration with John Matthews. There's a link in the description box below if you've not seen it and you would like to have a look at it. Gives you a great insight into the kind of artwork and the kind of world Andrea builds basically when he starts a project. So it'll be in the description box below. Also, anything to do with this deck, which I'm about to show you, there will be everything in the description box, you know, the website, how to pre-order it, the link to the Kickstarter campaign, all of that will be there, so that you know, you get all of the info that you require. So if you are not interested in the actual explanation of the project, of the guidebook, and you just want to see the cards, it's all time stamped, so you know, feel free to jump. But quite frankly, I think you'll be missing out because it really is, the deck is part of something big and it works, it's like a part, like in a machinery, you know, a part of something bigger. So I would advise you watch it all, but hey, you do you. But if you've got some time, please get comfortable and come and join me. So the Book of Shadow, an Alchemist's Story. Now this was a Kickstarter deck that I backed in August last year, and I have had it for a while already, but as you know, I never review a deck unless I've had time to get to know it, do a lot of reading, really work with it, because otherwise I believe it's not informative enough. And this book is part of a big multimedia project. Now I'm going to quote what was written in the Kickstarter campaign. It said, it's a multimedia project that will take you on a journey of discovery as we explore the meaning of tarot and the nature of magic via the power of imagination. Now, this is not the first deck that Andrea has funded through Kickstarter. In 2015, he had the Book of Shadows, the Lost Code of the Tarot, and that was a pip deck, which was again something to do with creating a big world with a documentary and so on. And this, the 2022 deck basically, is a continuation. You'll understand what I mean when I go in depth, which I've not done yet. So in this project you have collaborations. John Matthews has written a preface and the meanings of the cards. There is an essay from Sasha Graham and also an essay from Rana. You know, all of those names obviously of very well-known people in the tarot world. And this is the card you get with the deck and the book. And right on the back you have a QR code to download the mockumentary and other digital goodies, as well as all of the ways to contact Andrea and follow him and support him. Now, this project exploded its goal, okay, so it unlocked lots of extra features. So we got 2 extra cards, for instance. We got also the music, the soundtrack. I mean, it comes with a lot of things, but the main bulk is you get a deck of cards, you get a book, and you get a documentary, which he calls the mockumentary, which I will explain in a minute. So you could obviously buy add-ons and so on, and I decided to buy a box for my tarot deck, which I will show you in a minute, but that was just because I wanted to, but there were loads of stuff you could do. So I'm gonna start by talking to you about the guidebook, which quite frankly is an insult to call it a guidebook, because this is a proper book. It really is not, it's nothing to do with the kind of booklets you get in another deck. I mean, to give you an example, because I do believe that it would help you if I gave you a reference. Let me just grab something from my cupboard. Please excuse the noises. I just want to show you the size of it, because it really is something else. So for instance, last week I reviewed the Tarot of Light and Shadow, and it had a really good guidebook, okay? We're not talking about a little book, but that was what I showed you. So already, if you look at this, look at the difference in sizes, okay? The book, this one, is 200 pages. It's 24 centimeters by 16 centimeters, and this is a hardcover. And I mean, already I was impressed with this, because if you think about what you normally get for a tarot deck, let me grab something else completely, you know, randomly. This is pretty much what you normally get, right? This is the guidebook to the Wandering Star Tarot, which I've also reviewed. And this is a good guidebook, but you can see already the value that you get. So let me just put that away, because that is just to give you an idea, so you can see what you're getting here. Because I'm not sure the camera is going to do it justice. So this is hardcover. This is the spine. And there's the back. So it reads, in the unfathomable murky void of space, adrift in a dimension floating between space and time, a land formed by the ineffably mysterious power of magic is about to arise in the light of tarot. Unfortunately, where the light is brighter, the shadow is darker. Welcome to the Book of Shadows, an Alchemist's story. The Book of Shadows, an Alchemist's story is a multimedia project, a tarot deck, a graphic novel book of magic, a mockumentary film that will take you on a journey of discovery as we explore the meaning of tarot and the nature of magic via the power of imagination. So you can see. So this is incredible. It really is. I mean, I knew it would be incredible, but you know, until you've got it in your hands and you actually start studying it, you just don't realize. So, and you open it, this is what you see. Now this is Sapienta, the City of Knowledge, something created by Andrea. And then you've got the opening page, the Book of Shadows, an Alchemist's story. You can see I've got a little dedication from him, and that's because when I backed this deck, I chose the option of being able to create a spread for it. I was so enthused about the idea, the world he created, that I was like, I have to be part of this. So you will see my spread featured in this book at some point when we go through it together. So the concept of it, and I'm going to do it in a nutshell because, you know, I can talk to you for hours about this, is that it's based on Andrea's own alchemical language. So it's a mix of images, symbols and words, which in effect builds the graphic novel. And it's really, really interesting because I don't have confirmation of this. I did not back his first project, the Lost Code, because I didn't know about it. And I'm kicking myself because I can't get my hands on it. It's out of print. But from my research, and I also looked at the Kickstarter campaign that he did for that deck, it's a continuation. Basically, there's a clear progression, which is why I'm so gutted I can't get my hands on it, because I'd love to have it. But hey. So I'll try to explain to you and fill in the gaps so you understand. You don't need to have it to benefit from this at all. It's just I'm obsessed with it, okay? This is just me. So the Book of Magic, it's the fictional history of tarot. So it's a mix between tarot knowledge, philosophy, art, numerology. There's notes on reversals, there's essays by people, and obviously, you know, the meanings and so on. So it's a big mix, and he's created this big world, and he whisks you in and out of it. It's really, really interesting. So there's the little opening sentence: the most amazing combination can result if you shuffle the pack enough. And this is by Mikhail Bulgakov, the Master and Margarita. And this is your table of contents, okay? So you have a foreword written by John Matthews. I don't know if you can see, written by John Matthews. A preface, prologue, then it moves on to Sapienta, which is the City of Knowledge, which I mentioned. Then you have the Tower, Nemesis, then there's Hic sunt Leones, Dies Irae, and Through the Looking Glass. You'll understand, you know, as we go through it. So it starts off with this, with the text from John Matthews, a note on tarot. Then you have this double page written by Andrea, and this is him here, sitting on his chair. I will just read that little bit to you. It says, "The Book of Shadows, an alchemist story, is an invitation to challenge our views and go beyond the horizon of what we think we know. By investigating magic and fantasy, we can reconnect with our inner child and remind ourselves of a simpler time when we approached the world with wide-eyed curiosity, spontaneity, playfulness, and childlike fearlessness. If we become the alchemist of our own life, we would never be afraid to chase our dream, nor let society dictate them. We too, like the alchemist, will be free to become." So prologue. The past is never where you think you left it. So it opens up like this, and you have the beginning of the graphic novel. And Sasha Graham's essay is here in the form of an email between Andrea and Sasha. Now, I'm not going to tell you the whole story because, quite frankly, I don't want to spoil it for you. If you like it after the review, if I spoil the end and so on, I mean, you know, it's going to spoil it for you. And it's such a good book that, you know, I'm not going to tell you everything about it. But here, there's a mention of Lucifer, which is a building that was famous in the 1800s, as it says to you in the book. This is central to the story because this is how they found out the laboratory of the alchemist, and that was in 2210, because this building was ordered to be gotten rid of, basically, and in the excavation they found the laboratory and the work of the alchemist, where you find out his name for the first time, and I'm going to try and not butcher it, but I'm sure it's terrible what I'm going to say, but it's Johannes Athanasius Prometheus, written right here. So the first pack of tarot cards were found there with the Book of Shadows, and so these are the excerpts of the work of the alchemist. Now, throughout the book, it is peppered with a lot of humor. You know, Andrea's written it with, it's very witty. Firstly, he's had to do a lot of research to be able to put that together, you know, mixing history with fantasy. But also, there is a lot of, you know, funny names, puns. It's so well done. So here, they compare the Alchemist's Tarot, which I believe is from the Lost Code of Tarot, from his first Kickstarter project, with the Tarot de Marseille, and obviously the Italian Visconti Sforza, which is, you know, one of the first, if not the first, that we found. And he has done lots of insert to mix, to create, should I say, his world, so that it looks like it's real. Okay, so you see excerpts of newspapers, you know, all of that is him. You see the alchemy postage stamps, he created that to make it look like it's real. So the cards and, you know, books that were written, all of that is, again, you know, fantasy. But he's also done a documentary. This is an actual film. It lasts 1 hour and 20 minutes and it is epic. And so here you see the advertisement for it, and it is CCB history. Now, obviously, if you live in the UK, you'll know we have BBC, right? Even if you live in the States, I mean, you've got BBC shows in the States too. So you see he's changed it into CCB, done the poster, everything is put into here so that it looks real. And now you are back into the story, the graphic novel. So now you're in 2021. When the other one, at the beginning anyway, when they found the Alchemist's Tarot, it was in 2010. And basically what happens is the cards have morphed, they've changed. And he wants to understand why they've changed. So he goes to France to see this character here, this French lady here, to talk to her, because he is confused. He's saying, well, you know, we had these cards here, they looked like that, and a few weeks ago they began glowing and then they changed into that, which is the current deck. And so this is his quest to try and understand what happened. And she's asking him to tell the story, to explain what happened. and to face his Minotaur, which I will not go into detail, but that's what he has to do in order to understand. So it starts here with Sapienta. You'll understand when you've forgotten what you understood before. And here starts the story of the alchemist. So Sapienta is doomed. It's a city that's going to end up disappearing, and he wants to save Sapienta, but he's reading books that are not allowed, so he gets exiled, okay? And because he's deemed dangerous, so he gets exiled to the tower. And there he starts building machines with the little creatures there. Again, I don't want to divulge too much, because otherwise, you know, I'm telling you the story, which is, I shouldn't. And so, you know, you go through the story. So he spends years and years and years in that tower, where there are lots of books of knowledge. Then you move on to Nemesis. In the universe, there are things that are known and things that are unknown, and in between them, there are doors. So something happens with a machine he builds, and he gets transported into some kind of parallel world. It's all based on multi-worlds, multiverse, if you will. And here you have the fight between light and dark. And again, I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but he ages and becomes this person here. And he manages to escape by going through some kind of a portal. And then you move on to the next part of the book. Inc sunt leones. Everyone must come out of their exile in their own way. So he arrives into, you know, what seems to be our normal world, right? It's in London, meets with another character, and start writing his book of shadows. And now we are into the Book of Shadows, and this is the book of the Alchemist, and it says that it has 4 chapters. The first one, which is Observation of the Cosmos, the second one, which is the Alchemy section, the third one is the Mechanical Inventions and Strange Contraptions, and the fourth one is Historical section about the lost civilization of Sapienta. So again, lots of explanations about the manuscripts, the importance of the difference of colors in the writing. The black represented the mystery, the unknown, the red, symbol of power, the power of man's intellect, the passion. And that's for chapter 1, so Observation of the Cosmos. So you've got the cosmic elephant. Maybe I should try and do that. That's a bit better. This is the alchemist symbol, which is made of his initials. So Johannes Athanasius Prometheus. So if you put the JAP, that becomes this. And then there's the elephant there. The cosmic elephant. The solar system, the phases of the moon, the comets. So that all of that is Observation of the Cosmos. You can see all of it created, the artwork by Andrea. Can you imagine the amount of time it must have taken? It's crazy. The Earth and the 4 elements. Then you move on to the second chapter of the Alchemist's Book of Shadows, which is the magnum opus. Now this is concerning alchemy and esoteric magical symbols. So you have the tower there, notes on the 4 suits, as you can see from the cartomancy playing cards. And then you've got the divinatory meaning of the suits, swords, air, like what we normally use, wands, fire, cups, water, coins, earth. All of that explain. If you watched my review on the Tower of Light and Shadow, you will recognize the Ouroboros symbol, you know, the dragon or serpent, depending the dragon here, eating its own tail, which was a symbol for the coins suit in his other deck. And then you've got the numerology, you know, how to interpret the cards according to their numbers. And anything to do with the seals, the tree of knowledge, you know, all of that. So I'm aware I've been talking for a lot already, so I'm not gonna tell you too much about it. But then you move on to the third part, which is machinarium or machinarium, I don't know how to pronounce it. And it's a collection of drawings that describe the machines that the alchemist invented over the years. So you've got the mobile tower, the flying ship, the submarine, the palm tree of planets. I mean, it's crazy. You can see how you get transported into a completely different world. It's very steampunk in the style, and I have a thing for steampunk. I really like that, so it suits me down to the ground. And then we have the Theatrum Historiae, which is the story of the rise and fall of the mysterious city called Sapienta. Now again, if you watch the other review I made, the back of the cards in the Tarot of Light and Shadow is the city of Sapienta. Let me grab, it's next to me so I'll show you. That was the back of the card, and that's the city of Sapienta right there. So you can see how everything is kind of connected. But again, you don't need to have the other deck or the first Kickstarter project to enjoy this. I just realized it as I went along, basically. So, it tells you the tale of Sapienta, what happens to it. And then we're back into the graphic novel, because things continue to happen. So, you know, he's discussing things with his friend, talks about giving himself a name and so on and so forth. But he gets worried that someone wants to take his pack of tarot cards, because he realizes that they have much power. You know, knowledge is power. So for the present is the point at which time touches eternity. And so because of that, he, as you see, he says, only if misused, they are a powerful tool. So he's worried about that. And obviously, you know, as you can imagine, there's someone trying to get their grubby hands on the tarot deck, and he goes away and tries to hide them. And as you can tell, he does this in a very magical way, but I won't tell you anything more than that. And he hides them. However, he's still in danger, and there is a basically a society, a dark society is trying to get their hands on it, called Umbra, and at the end of it there is a twist on who is the head of Umbra. By the way, I won't say more because I don't want to I don't want to ruin it for you, but obviously, yeah, so that's really interesting. So that's the head of Umbra, you can see in the mask, but we are led to believe this is someone, but it's not. Anyway, and then he manages to escape, because they're setting London on fire, basically, and he manages to escape with his friend by using a mirror, and that is like a portal to another place. And you will see what I'm saying to you when I say it's all related. There was an extra 2 cards in the light, the Tarot of Light and Shadow, the Cosmic Mirror, and if you look at this, you can see how there's a resemblance. So he goes into the mirror with his friend and lands into a building next to it, manages to escape, and that's why he doesn't die. And yeah, so that's that. So then it says, through the looking glass, the truth may be out there, but the lies are inside your head. And this is where you get back to the Andrea talking to the French lady, and she basically says to him that the cards had to morph because they had to move with time. And if you look, so this is the 3 of Cups, which I'm assuming is from his first tarot deck, the Lost Code of the Tarot, and this is the 3 of Cups from this deck. And she's basically saying that they had to, because time changed. I'm oversimplifying that, but she says here they changed because they had to, and they will continue to change again and again, all in due time. So basically, from what I gather, the first tarot deck that he did from 2015, from his first Kickstarter deck, has now morphed into the Alchemist story, because the first tarot deck he did was a pip deck, as was the first tarot deck we ever found, and now it's morphed into something that is a Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, following the pictorial tradition for the pips. So after that you get a little bit of John Matthews and what he's done, you know, his work and so on, and then you move on to the whole section of the explanation of the cards, which is all written by John Matthews. So you get a few keywords at the beginning, and then you get an explanation, well, John Matthews' definition of each card. So these are for the major arcana. And then it moves on to the minors. So you've got the House of Cups, and this is how much, same thing, you know, you get the little keywords, and this is how much you get for each of them. And as you can see, you'll see the cards in a minute, they are all illustrated. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages for the minors for the per suit. So that's the cups. Then you have the wands, again 5 pages, the House of Swords, and look how glossy the paper is. Oh, it's smooth as butter, I love it. And then the House of Coins. Then you've got the Lost Arcana. Now, he managed to get the funding to do 2 extra cards, which obviously I thought was fantastic. So these are the 2 extra cards, but I will show them to you in bigger version. So you've got the Mirror in the Mirror. Now, when this card appears in a reading, it signifies that the reader is lost in a space of reflections and illusions. It is a space created in the reader's mind, molded by its perceptions, ideas, fears, dreams, and emotions. This means that the question cannot be answered. Take a break, meditate, relax, clean the mirror of your mind before posing the same question again. I love this card. I use it in the pack, always. And then the other one we have is the Stairs of Lost Step, which is this one here. And I'm just reading the last paragraph to give you an idea of what it means. When this card appears in a reading, it means that the querent is too focused on finding the absolute answer to the question asked. This card asks you to think of your question in a different way. Every query opens a door to an infinite possibility of answers, each with their own nuances, consequences, and positive and negative aspects. Open your mind to the endless possibilities laying in front of you. The only way to escape is by realizing that the labyrinth is non-existent. I also use that card, I think it's great. You then get some pages about reversals, how to read them if it is part of your practice. So he proposes 3 ways to interpret reversals. So internal versus external. You also have the conscious versus the unconscious and the blocked energy. Very interesting, and obviously with a sample reading so that you can understand exactly what he means by that. And then we have a little bit of the graphic novel, and comes the essay of Rana George. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, but obviously, you know, she's a tarot teacher. But she's done a lot in Lenormand system. So she's got a book, the Essential Lenormand. She also has her own Lenormand deck. I reviewed both of these items. I will leave you links to in the description box below because they are amazing. She's an amazing teacher. Really, really love Rana. So she's written an essay about it. And then you move on to the stolen pages. Now this is what he refers to as the spreads. And so you get 5 spreads with this book, and this is the one I created. So you have the manifestation sigil, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see, by Claude from the Tarot of Claude. So for this spread, which is an 8-card spread, I designed an actual sigil to help you manifest what you want in your life. So I also wrote the blurb. This 8-card spread draws its power from a sigil that was created especially to support your manifestation abilities. And obviously, you know, I'm not going to go into details, but you have the positioning and what they mean, and recommendation on how to use the sigil. There was also the Casanova spread, which was done by Cindy Stebbins, and there are 7 cards in this. There is the Galleon, which is a 5-card spread that is by the alchemist himself. And they all have a different aim. So for instance, this one, for those sailing towards the unknown of a great adventure, for the captains courageous who cannot remain in port, for those who dream of the infinite beyond the horizon, step on board, unfurl the sail to catch the wind, and the cards will tell you how to overcome the obstacles you'll find and advise you about the right course to take. There is also the Ancestry by Cynthia Fisher. Now I really like this one as well. I've used it. There are 9 cards. It's a big tarot spread to do with connecting with your ancestors. You know, I do monthly ancestors readings. I'm really into ancestors work, so you can imagine I was very interested by this specific spread. And finally we've got the Pegasus spread, also by The Alchemist, which has 6 cards. Very, very interesting. Then you have some notes about Andrea Aste, who is a character in the story, about his boat, and then some bits about Umbra, the association, the dark association that's trying to steal the tarot cards. And I'm trying to not show you the end. And then you've got the end question mark, and then here you have all of the social media for Andrea and how to contact him and so on. If you watch Supernatural, you know, the series with the Dean and Sam Winchesters, this made me think of their father's Book of Shadows, you know, where he's got all of his notes on the monsters that he tries to fight and all of the spells to get rid of the demons and so on. Anyway, that's just a reference. If you don't watch Supernatural, don't worry, but yeah, it made me think of it. I had to mention it. Okay, so as you can see why I took so long, because it's amazing, it deserved the time. I really hope I've not bored you. It was worth it. So with this, you get the mockumentary, as I've mentioned before. And you also get, which I thought was amazing, the whole soundtrack of the documentary, which contains 23 soundtracks. It was created, the music, by Giorgio Boffa, and Andrea also has created the booklet for the CD. So if you wanted to burn the files, which you get from this card here, you can even print the leaflet and have it as a proper CD. I mean, it is absolutely amazing the amount of work is put into that. And in that little booklet you find out about you know, his life and all of the different jobs he's had and all the creativity that has been threaded through his life. Super, super interesting. So you've got the book, you've got the soundtrack, you've got the movie, which I think I said, but I repeat, is 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it is super cool. And then you have, obviously, the deck. Okay, so the deck comes in this box. And let me zoom in some more. So this is a tuck box, and it was sealed, as you can tell. So Berry Fan Brimstone Limited, London. That's the code at the back, the bottom. Magic is a science of imagination. You recognize the Alchemist's symbol here. And so it tells you 80 tarot cards, Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. So that's the box. Now, I knew it was coming in a tuck box, which is great because you could, as an add-on, buy extra things. You could have had a t-shirt, loads of different things. Anyway, you could have a box to store your deck, and I knew I'd want the box for the deck, so I ordered it. And this is the box. So I hope you can see it. This has been hand stuck, you know, all of that by Andrea. And when you open it, there is the deck. So I'm gonna grab the deck just to show you the inside of the box and maneuver it more easily. So you can see the lock. It's all aged by hand. It's really nice. And he hand wrote my name. Obviously you could have put any name, but obviously that's my name. So that's the extra card that he got to put in his deck, and there's that. So this basically lives on my reading table with the deck inside. So let me put it here. This is the deck. As you can see, this is chunky. Let me just show you a difference with a standard deck. Let me just grab it. Okay. So that's how chunky this deck is. That's the quality of the cards. It's amazing. Let me put it away. Sorry, can't concentrate. So they're glossy, as you can tell. This is the Library of Knowledge on the back. and I'm going to show you the difference in sizes. So firstly, with a standard deck, so this is standard, okay? So in height it's the same, but it is slightly less wide, can you tell? So it makes it easier for smaller hands, so if that's you, that's kind of cool. And in comparison with the Tarot of Light and Shadow, if you look at it, it is taller, but I would say 2 to 3 mil, but it is slimmer, slightly slimmer, and I mean we're talking 1 mil. That's just to give you an idea. Okay, so now this is obviously a multicolored deck. The first one from the Lost Code was, you know, like sepia colored. This is very colored. The deck uses the traditional archetype, but with fantasy infused into it. And there are no specific cultural or historical references, so it's easy to interpret. You see it sticks to the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, but it's rich enough obviously for deep readings. It's a really, really, it's a welcoming deck. That's what I'm going to say to you. That's how I like to see it. It's comfort deck. And the concept obviously is to open your intuition and your consciousness. Now, this is printed on 400 GSM, okay? And you can see it bounces back immediately. Really good cardstock. And if you are into dimensions, it's 12 centimeters by 6.6 centimeters, okay? So let's actually talk about the cards. I'm going to start with the Fool. Now I'm going to show you the cards up close. Bear with me. There we go. So I can put my cards away. I hope this is big enough for you. So you have the Fool. So you can see, you can recognize the amazing artwork of Andrea. I mean, as you can tell, I am a big fan. Let me just grab his other deck just to show you the artwork. Now, absolutely not the same cards, obviously, but you can see he has a very specific art style. You know it's Andrea Aste's work, is what I'm trying to say, and that's what I really love about it. So there's the Fool, and as you can tell, it follows very closely the Rider-Waite-Smith. So we have the Fool, we have the Magician. Maybe I should put them into my box so that they don't. Then we have the High Priestess, the Empress, which looks fabulous with the head gear, the Emperor. I've got to say, I've got to show you this. All I see is a little man within a small body. Do you see what I'm saying? When actually, obviously, it's the nose and the nose and the moustache and the beard, but all I see is that little man with that big body. It's hilarious. I hope it's focusing. There you go. It's hilarious. You can tell they've got borders, which I think make the colors pop a bit more, actually. The Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, because obviously it follows Rider-Waite-Smith, so in his previous deck we would have had Justice, but here we have Strength. The Hermit, which looks like the alchemist himself, if you ask me. Love this card. It's probably my favorite, actually. The Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hangman, Death, Temperance. You can see how it looks, you know, how it's got that fantasy element, and it's very friendly. You can immediately see you know, the tradition of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but also, I don't know, it talks to me. That deck just speaks to me. I have no problems reading it. I love it. That's the Devil, particularly like the fact that they are not chained, it's all in their heads. The Tower. Oh, sorry, I cut the title, I apologize. And the Star. The Moon. The Sun. And Judgment. I love the dragon type of wings is drawn for the angel. That brings that fantasy element in it really beautifully. And the World. You see, I've got to be honest, and if you watched some of my reviews, you'll know this. I do not like the artwork on the Rider-Waite-Smith, okay? I find it off-putting. I really am not a fan. I have nothing against the system, but the artwork does not work for me. And he has made a deck that I actually really enjoy. It's the Rider-Waite-Smith system, but without the drawings I do not like. So I'm ecstatic about it, super happy. Okay, so we start with the coins, okay, so the pentacles, so you've got your ace, the 2 of coins, you know, with the balancing things out, 3 of coins, 4, I love how, you know, this is Sapienta, you see on the other side, yeah, 5 of coins, 6 of coins, 7. I like this 7 of coins, you know, instead of looking at your tree and wondering if it's grown enough, it's the embracing of it, you know, because it's that desire to make it grow. But that's how I see it in this card. And I like that, element. The 8 of coins, 9 of coins. I also like the fact that she's, you know, lying down, she's chilling in her garden, you know, very self-confident and laid back about it. And the 10 of coins. We then move on to the court cards. We have the Page of Coins, the Knight, the Queen of Coins, and the King of Coins. Now we move on to the cups. There's your ace, the 2 of cups, 3 of cups, 4 of cups. I mean, you know, I'm not going to tell you every card that it follows the tradition, because you can see how it does. But it is in a fantasy world. I love how the vegetation is different. I love how the clothing is different. Particularly, I love the fact that there's that, you know, city of knowledge everywhere. 6 of cups, 7 of cups, 8 of cups. And I like the darkness, you know, when you turn your back and you move on, you know, in search for something better, how obviously the darkness is the unknown, yeah, leaving at night. The 9 of Cups with the man being content, yep. And the 10 of Cups with the rainbow. So then we have the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the Queen of Cups, obsessed with her cup. I love the fact that she's that turquoise color. I love it. The actual color of, you know, water, of the sea, makes her part of it. And the King of Cups. And you see, to me, but that's just me, okay, it may not be the case, but you see, I always see the Queen as being solely focused on her feelings, and she's the color of the sea, she's the color of her emotions, because she is her emotions, whereas the King of Cups masters his emotions. Anyway, that's my point of view, okay? I'm not saying this is what Andrea meant by that. The Ace of Swords. Two of Swords, we recognize the lady with the blindfold and the arms crossed. The Three of Swords. Four of Swords. Five of Swords. Six of Swords. Love, love, love the dragon ship. Seven of Swords. Eight of Swords. Nine of Swords. And then the Ten of Swords. So the court cards, we have the Page of Swords, your Knight, the Queen, and the King. I was wondering, and that's a question to myself, really. You may have been wondering the same thing. I was looking at the court cards for the swords, and they're wearing fur. You can see their capes, right? But the knight doesn't have a cape. And I've been wondering that when I was reading. Why doesn't he have the cape? That's a question I should be asking Andrea, really. Ace of Wands. Now I love the fact that the ace, you know, which obviously is the seed, the origin, is the wand is sprouting from just across the bridge from Sapienta. It looks like it's a vase. It's taking, it's blossoming, taking from the water. Love that. Two of Wands. Three of Wands. The Four. Five. Six. Seven. How funky does she look, by the way? Eight of Wands. Nine. And he looks ready, you know, not completely exhausted and defeated. To me, he looks ready. Love the fact that it's got the sunlight in the back. And the Ten of Wands. And you can tell she's going to successfully drop her wands because the city is just there. She's there. So then court cards, we have the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Wands, love her cat, and the King of Wands. And then we have the two extra cards I mentioned. You know, when I read in the book, we have the Mirror in the Mirror. Trying to show them to you from up close. Which is, you know, when the question can't be answered. I'm oversimplifying, obviously. And then the Stair of Lost Steps, which is when someone is trying to find the absolute truth about something. Again, oversimplifying. So there you have it. So that was, yeah, that was my review of the Book of Shadows, an Alchemist story. As you can tell, I am a big fan, okay? I cannot recommend it highly enough. In the description box below, I have dropped you all of the details of Andrea and how to pre-order this deck. I will mention that it is £60, which when I can't talk, which is about $70 to $71 if you're in America. Now it includes worldwide shipping, which is amazing because at the moment worldwide shipping is crazy expensive, and you do get the deck in a tuck box, not in that, okay, just in a tuck box. You get this amazing book, you get the 1 hour and 20-minute long documentary, and you get also the soundtrack to the film with it by, you know, downloading from the QR codes. It's incredible. It's well worth it. I would pay even more for it, to be quite honest with you. I really think it's worth it. And so yeah, tell me what you think. Are you going to pre-order it? Do you like it as much as I do? I should say love, because there's no liking here. I love it. Or have you already got it? Maybe you do. You know, just let me know, please. This is the first time I do such a long review because there's so much material to talk about, and I really think it was worth it. Thank you, Andrea, for creating such a beautiful world. It's sheer escape. When I finished your book, I was actually sad that the story was finished. So I thank you, and I thank you for allowing me to be part of this amazing project. And as for you, viewers, wherever you are and whenever you're watching this, I wish you a truly magical day. Thank you so much for stopping by. You know what I think. Your time is your most precious commodity. I'm grateful you chose to spend it with me. I will see you again very soon. In the meantime, take care, and until next time, au revoir.